Hey, subscribers and non-subscribers, viewers. I'm really jacked up on coffee right now, and just a lot of caffeine going on here. You may see that guy in the background, and you all know what that means. So anyway, this is good and bad, I guess. Good for content for you guys and stuff. Somewhat bad for me, but there's some pluses too. So anyway, that rattle that I talk about in a lot of my videos that I've been trying to fucking seek out here. Yeah, I took it out, tried to tune it, tried to work on the carb air fuel ratio, see if that was knocked or spark knocked, and I just can't overcome it. I can't get rid of it. And I parked it, and it was idling, and I listened nice and close, and I'm pretty sure there's at least one rod bearing that's beat up in here. As you can see, I've already started disassembling this. With the exhaust taken apart and wired up under there. The backside's wired up because I had to weld the muffler ends to the tailpipes, so I'd have to cut it to disassemble it totally. But so you'll get more content on me disassembling this, and then we'll get to do some fun engine building stuff together. And I'll try to bring you through the whole process of this. Shouldn't take long for me to get this out. You know, I ended up working some real crappy 13-hour shifts the other day, which screwed up my time frame for all this stuff. But I drove it out here with the rod knocking a little bit. It doesn't, and well, anyway, let me get to the problem. I'm pretty sure the dynamic compression ratio is too much. I don't know if you guys have ever dealt with that. There's two types of compression. There's your static compression ratio, and then there's your dynamic compression ratio, which is it's more of like, you know, the best way to describe it is the type of compression your engine sees while in operation and when you hit basically the power band of your cam. Because this thing would live at 11 to 1. I think it's 11.1 to 1, if I remember correctly. Back in the day when I designed this, probably 10, 12 years ago, there's a lot of competitions being done on dynos and stuff, where they're trying to run on pump gas and make a bunch of power on pump gas, but they fail to tell you about the parameters they're using there, feeding it cold air in the dyno room, and there's not load and heat from the car and all this stuff, and weight of the car and gear ratio and the shit. But basically, I just can't overcome it'll run all day at 11 to 1 idling and stuff because it bleeds off with overlap. But once you come into the power band and the engine's working with volumetric efficiency, it traps more pressure in there, and the street fuel just cannot seem to deal with it. So thankfully I heard it, seeming to be a little bit hurt. So we're gonna take it out, and I'm assuming a custom piston set is gonna have to set back my wallet here to try to drop this down. Possibly I might try to use some multi-layered and like MLS head gaskets, because you can get those up to 125 thousandths thick, I think, compressed thickness, which would definitely drop it, but that ends up screwing up your intake manifold gasket distance and stuff. So that's going to be a different set of problems. But I'm going to change the cam anyway. The head gaskets, the bigger head gaskets also is going to mess with your valve train geometry. You might end up buying new push rods. So at the point I buy new push rods, and those gaskets are pretty expensive being that thick. They're like $200 a piece. So, which is crazy if you ask me, but I don't know. I'll probably aim for the pistons, but I'm definitely going with a new cam. My engine guy that I refer to, a friend of mine, he mentioned a couple weeks ago I might probably want to go with a different cam if I'm not going to drag race anymore. Something a little bit lighter, smaller. Not lighter, but, you know, less aggressive. And I was like, but I'm not really happy with the power band in this on the street. It's soggy on the bottom and it comes on real hard at the top. There's definitely better options here. as I'm speeding along to try to get this done. Take a little break here, drinking my, I'm drinking tea now, get me all jacked up to continue on here. I think I'm gonna go with something, obviously it'll end up with a little less lift. Obviously I want less duration, and I might be going for something with a little wider lobe separation angle for better idle quality. I just washed the bottom of my fender covers off here to keep my paint job from getting all scratched out. So yeah, definitely a different cam is in the works for this. I want something sharper off the bottom, get it more like my father's Scat Pack car, because I mean there's no denying that Scat Pack car is fun to drive, a lot funner to drive than this is, really, unless you're just straight out hammering on this thing. But I want a little more sharper, more like my original 440 I built back in 1995 or 96. I built that. That was a 9.1-to-1 engine with 906 heads that I ported eventually, and Edelbrock Torquer intake, Torquer 2 I think it might have been, with a 750 vacuum secondary Holley and the Mopar 284, 484 cam. A lot of people don't like that cam, but I'm telling you, it's a decent cam if you have the rest of the setup for it. You read the Mopar Performance Manual, and I used a 3800 stall dynamic converter with that and 391 gears, and it was just that's a hydraulic cam. I used stock rockers and push rods, and what spring was it? 077 maybe, sound right? And you can figure out what spring you use. It's like a street Hemi spring. I think that number probably isn't correct. So, but anyway, that cam, people crap on that cam a lot, but it worked really good in this car back then. I ran a 1227, had like 107 with that cam, so that's no slouch. Definitely with heads a little worked on, and headers. It definitely needs headers and a decent exhaust. Open headers probably is best. Anyway, I'm speed rambling here, but we're gonna get this out, and you know, I'll make some videos on progress. It's really hard for me to make videos of me working, because I'd have to set up a tripod and shit, and you're gonna catch me swearing and yelling and talking to myself, and it's probably just, and I'm not into editing like that, you know. I'm no Voice Script Garage guy. I actually, you know, I have Derek's an awesome channel, but I don't have time to do all that editing, and I'm not that funny. So, and I have a full-time job and kids and family. Well, so does he, but that is his job, you know. I'm still speed rambling on the caffeine here. So anyway, guys, that's what's going to happen, and it's going to be interesting taking this apart. Before I quit here, randomly, as I was driving around with an old friend of mine in this the other day, I said to him, you know, I'd like to take this engine apart right now and see how it's wearing, to see, you know, how our quality of our build went. You know, it's probably only got a couple hundred miles on it. I was like, I would never do that for no reason, and then I ran into hearing that knock a little while after. But anyway, I'm glad I heard it before it decided to, you know, fulfill its 2-week notice and put an exit hole through my block there. But anyway, we'll figure it out, and you guys will have more content here, and I'll have a winter project to work with. So good times ahead. Later.